Welcome to Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions that come up during today's episode, please text them to 424-378-6966. Please welcome the founder of Monster VoIP, your host, Colin Mitchell.
All right, on today's episode, I'm going to be talking with Spencer Scott of Loup. Spencer and I are going to be talking about tactical sales tricks, strategies, and how to find new deals that you can use today. I'm Colin Mitchell, the host of Monster Chats and the founder of Monster VoIP. Spencer is the director of sales of Netrio and the founder of Loup, currently building a WebRTC softphone called OpenPhone, and was on a direct sales team at Vonage for just under 3 years. Welcome to Monster Chats. Spencer, how you doing?
Dude, that was an awesome intro. You crushed that. You had me confused for a second there because when you said, I'm Colin Mitchell, I thought you were saying, I'm calling a guy named Mitchell. So that was strong. You need to maybe space those out a little bit.
I
was like, wait, I'm not Mitchell.
Did you think maybe you were in the wrong place? Or
Yeah. I was like, shoot, this is not the right Zoom meeting. I gotta
go. So, hey man, before we jump in, and me and you have known each other for a while, and this is stuff that we talk about all the time. I mean, we even before we hit record, we just started going after it, and we're like, oh man, we should have just started the show.
For sure.
So, but let's pull back the onion a little bit and just tell people a little bit about your personal journey and like how you got into sales. And, you know, kind of just more about your personal life. Just drop it for us.
I was duped. I'm from Michigan. I went to Central Michigan, graduated, left Michigan, was like, I got to get out of here. Packed all my stuff up and literally just drove to Dallas. I had a friend out here. And I was looking for jobs. I was managing a Target store, ended up at a company. I just applied. I applied like 1,000 companies a day. It was insane. Man, I was like, I'm never going to find a job. And then anyways, I took a job as an account executive at a company called ANPI. And if you're an old school Vonage or an old school UCAS guy, like ANPI was and still is a small, I'll explain more. Anyways, back in the day, ANPI ranked #1 for UCAS. So they had a pretty big business, but
before UCAS was even a popular term, right?
Yeah. They love that. They were like, "Oh, we ranked #1 for UCAS." I'm like, "Sweet. What does that mean?"
Nobody knows what UCAS is.
Dude, you crushed that. You crushed that SEO. How many deals are we getting from that? And so, anyways, I took this job as an account executive, and it had like this big beefy description, like, "Oh, we're gonna do this. It's a sales position." I go through a 1-week training. I'm all fired up. I'm like, dude, this is awesome. Like basically hosted software. I can tell people I'm a software sales guy. Never was interested in doing sales. And then just basically the guy was like, all right, we're going to go knock doors. And I was like, wait a second. I'm so confused. And I'm dead serious. He was like, this is how we're going to do it. He goes, if you don't have any business and you don't have a network, you knock doors. And I'm like, are you serious? And legit first day after training, I get in the car with this other kid, and he's like, we're going to go knock doors. And I'm like, for real? Like Jehovah's Witness style? Like I'm going to go knock doors? He's like, no, it's better than Jehovah's Witness. He goes, we're knocking businesses. I'm like, dude, what? Talk about rejection. So did that for a year, ended up making friends.
So hold on, let's back up for a second. Let's back up for a second. Did you feel like a little bait and switch there when you're like, sales, software, cloud, this cool term called UCAS that I don't even know what it is? Like,
and like I went through like this real in-depth Broadsoft training. Like I met people at Broadsoft. I met Darren Knapp, a Polycom guy, who's like global for Polycom. Like I was meeting big people in the industry that I didn't even know at the time. And then I'm like, this is legit. And then like, let's knock doors. And I remember getting in that car and the kid's like, we're in Texas. He's like, you don't need to wear a tie. Take that off. Like, that's not going to work. Like, people are going to think that you are like selling Bibles or something. Yeah. And I'm like, what the, like, dude, I'm like, this is, I think I need to go back.
You got to know your audience, right? I mean, I've made that mistake where I went on a sales call in Reno wearing a suit and tie and they're like, don't ever come to our office dressed like that.
Yeah. We had people in the later days when I was at Vonage, we had a guy come from New York, come down, full suit, custom suit, blue suit, like napkin, all of this stuff, like $1,000 shoes. And we go and meet. I told him we're meeting with this publicly traded company down the road. Was super excited. It was like a credit card processing company.
Don't tell me you were wearing that shirt.
No. Okay, so I should give some color to this shirt. It's Friday before Memorial Day weekend. I don't know when this is going to drop. And I was like, this is my Carol Baskin Tiger King Friday Let's Go shirt. And then I kind of forgot that I got to tell you, I wish I could give you credit. I wasn't putting this on for this interview. I put this on because it was Friday. And then I was like, this is great. So anyone watching this, I don't normally wear this, but I do that.
All right, so anyways, let's back up. All right, so you're at Vonage.
So we show up to this publicly traded company, and this dude, director of IT for the publicly traded company, cowboy hat, dip, and we walk into the meeting, cowboy hat, dip, jeans, drives a truck. I walk in, not like this. I had like a golf shirt on and just dress pants. That was it. I was trying to be in between, and this guy walks in, this New York guy, and the guy's like, we were getting brushed off immediately, right? Like, I'm not even kidding. We sit down at the CTO's desk. He takes out from under the desk a bag of Chick-fil-A in the middle of the meeting, sets it down, eats it, and then puts in a dip, and he's got a cowboy hat on. And I'm like, we're never going to get this deal now with you looking like this. I'm like, and so there was like a part of the meeting where the CTO just roasted him. He's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, this is Dallas. He's like, it's 100 degrees outside. He goes, you're wearing that full suit? And like, he had enough hair gel to choke out the room in terms of smell. I was just like, man, you definitely got to play to your audience. And that might work in New York, but it doesn't work here.
All right, so let's go back for a second. Okay, so you're knocking on doors. You made President's Club. Tell us about that. I mean, so brutal. a lot of people started knocking doors or cold calling, right? And it's like those experiences from that time give you a lot of grit to kind of,
Yeah, I mean, that's the best way to spin someone out real fast. Like, it does basically. I don't know how. I mean, I didn't like it. I hated it. I would never go back to it. But what did you learn?
But what did you learn out of it? I mean, there's got to be some learning lessons out of that. Like, you can't teach good old fashioned just hard work without experiencing it.
Yeah, I mean, I learned that it didn't work. I learned
you made President's Club.
But I mean, that was from the sales calls afterwards. So I guess it worked. So basically what we'd have to do is get 50 cards a day and then put 5 pieces of information on that card. Otherwise it didn't count.
Oh,
and so
that's brutal.
We'd get this card and we'd write down the desk, Polycom phones. We'd ask them about their internet, Frontier, AT&T. We'd look around, see how many employees, 30 plus, 100 plus employees, and you'd write down these notes, and then you'd come back, and then like, we had call days where you would just hammer the phone. And I'm not talking, this wasn't a big company. There was like 4 sales guys. But the guys had come from like CBN, and this is how CBN did it. And so they had no other clue how to run a sales organization. Well, this is how I did it at CBN, so this must work here. And so we did that, and ended up turning into like networking, because like I would go to all of these affiliate clubs, like BNI, because I wanted to go to BNI. Because that meant I wasn't door knocking, right? Like, it was horrible. And so we started.
I guess if that's your best alternative, then you weren't enjoying the door knocking too much.
Yeah, I mean, I was like early 20s, knew nobody. Like, and so what I was doing was basically partnering with like the AT&T and Time Warner Spectrum reps, and they would get leads for internet, and then they would close them when they didn't sell voice. So we'd go in on the backside. I'd take them to lunch. I'd do everything I can to bribe them. And we would go in and sell internet on top. And then that was how basically the Spectrum rep, I had a couple of Spectrum reps that helped me out. It was Time Warner Cable at the time before acquisition. And we would travel together and we'd throw each other deals. And in long story short, we made President's Club. And then I ended up taking that and going to Vonage, which was an easy transition because Vonage was on BroadSoft, AMPI was on BroadSoft. AMPI later sold to Voyant and Intelliquent, which are the big voice players. You probably know those guys. And then so I was at Vonage and then went through like 4 acquisitions. We acquired Telesphere, Simple Signal. We acquired iCore. We acquired all sorts of stuff. And I was one of the early teams that opened up the Dallas office. So it was like just a handful of us. We opened up Dallas. And then I just got promoted. And It was just, I knew the technology, so I could kind of talk to that. And then to your point on grit, like you got to get creative on finding deals, which is what I'm excited to talk to you about, some of the stuff we did there. And every time I talk to you, you've got some new fancy fangled tool that I didn't know existed. So that's why I love.
Yeah, I have shiny object syndrome. So
yeah,
I love new tools. Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
I love new tools and, trying them out and good tools are great, but they're not going to replace hard work. Like there's still work.
That's the problem.
I think a lot of people get confused. They think like, oh, if I can get this tool and then I don't have to prospect, or if I can get this tool and master it, then I don't have to use the phone as much. Or, if we can get these email campaigns working well, then, I can just sit back and wait for, deals to fall in my lap. And that's not the case.
So I think YouTube is the downfall to everybody, especially people our age, or at least especially me, because what ends up happening is you see these quote unquote YouTube millionaires like, oh, I just did this, funnel hack and I'm getting people everywhere. And then it's like, switch YouTube video. Oh, dude, you're not using Facebook ads? Switch YouTube video. Are you doing YouTube ads? Why are you doing YouTube? Switch YouTube video. 12-year-old makes $30 million in 2 weeks. And it's like, dude, none of that stuff is realistic. Like
those are the small percentage, right?
And a lot of times it's not even true. Like, and I'll, by the way, I click on every single one of those videos. I don't want to, I'm a FOMO guy. Like I don't want to miss out on anything. I won't buy anything. I've never bought a course, but I swear to God, and I've learned a lot through the videos, but man.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your Vonage days. What were you guys doing over there? You get this Dallas office started,
So
it was, business was good. And what's some of the sales hacks that you guys were doing over there? What were you, I'm guessing you weren't door knocking.
Yeah. So we were, So dude, talk about getting kicked in the teeth, man. So I leave, I'm on this high. I'm like, Vonage, big company. We probably get leads and have like a marketing team and they're publicly traded. Get my first paycheck and it's from a company called Telesphere, which was through an acquisition. So like Vonage hadn't even been set up for business VoIP. So long story short, Vonage was getting into the business VoIP business, and instead of building their own platform at the time, they were acquiring customers. Super cash heavy business. Just they had a shit ton of cash and they just wanted to spend it. And so they bought Telesphere. I was at Telesphere training in Scottsdale, and I get to the office and I'm like, all right, what's the plan? And they're like, go get business. And I'm like,
back to doors, back to BNI.
I'm like, nothing changed except now my shirt's orange, And so I did. I went back to business. I went back to BNI. I went back to knocking doors. I mean, we got leads. The difference was we did have a marketing budget, so we had tools to like Discover.org. We had tools to Zoom Info. Basically, if there was an application that had data, we had access to it. And that's where it started to get interesting. So we realized that just cold calling these so let me back up. Our quota was $3,000 a month. You had to close $3,000 a month in net new business to basically keep your job. So it ended up kind of being like it got a little sticky in the sense of like people were crawling over each other just to land new business. And so that $3,000, basically you're pushed into a corner and you gotta hit that number, or at least show you're close to hitting that number. And so the door knocking wasn't going to work. You could hit 1 million doors. The people who are closing deals through door knocking, you're talking 20 seats and less. So it's like when you have that $3,000 quota, that goes out the window. I mean, they give you a ramp for like the first 6 months, so that might work for the first 6 months, but you got to basically create a way to get to those higher numbers. And so that's when we started getting creative. Like, Vonage had bought a company called G-Unify. G-Unify was a BroadSoft application that did CRM integration. So it sat on top of the BroadSoft APIs, kind of like Loup, and then it would log the data into Salesforce, Zendesk, Zoho, and Clio. I think were the four. And that's when, going back to your point, Colin, where we started getting into the tools. So there's two companies out there that if you're watching this right now, check them out. Datanyze, they have a Chrome extension, and Built With, who also has a Chrome extension.
I love Built With.
Built With. So quick fact on Built With, I'm a nerd. I always research everything. Built With does $14 million a year and has one full-time employee. It's insane. Dude's crushing it. Anyways, they have a Chrome extension. What BuiltWith does is when you click it, it looks at the code on every website and documents it. And so what you can do is click the Chrome extension on BuiltWith. It'll tell you if they're using Salesforce. It'll tell you if they're on AWS. It'll tell them if you got Gmail or Exchange. It'll tell them where it's hosted. It'll tell them IP addresses. It'll tell you other domains or servers on the same IP address. It looks at their video applications. Are they using YouTube and Wistia? Are they using...
You basically know their whole tech spend.
The whole tech spend for the internet. And then BuiltWith does reverse analytics where they know how much the tech spend is based on what you're paying for YouTube, what you're paying for Google pay-per-click, what you're paying for Facebook retargeting. And so they say this website spends 10 grand a month, and they're using this, this, and this. Here are the other websites they own. Here's where their servers are hosted. Like, tells you everything.
So basically you can have a much more meaningful outreach or conversation when you're armed with that information. So
here's what we learned. If you can reverse engineer the sale, and here's what I mean by that. Most UC companies, Vonage, Ring, 8x8, they're even all the NetSapiens partners, SkySwitch partners, you name it, they're all selling a lot for the most part. They're not selling anything interesting, right? So, and if you're not selling anything different than the other person, you're just selling on price. And so what we would do was reverse engineer the sale. We had this niche feature that no one else had at the time, which was Salesforce call logging. So what we would do is we would go to Datanyze and we'd buy a set of data that would say, give me all of the Salesforce companies in the Dallas area. Mm-hmm. I'll freaking cold call, door knock those all day because I already know they're using Salesforce. I already know what their spend is. I already know what's going on. So then what we would do from there is basically use a tool like hunter.io or what we were talking about right before this call, seamless.ai. And you can, once you have the domain, like let's use, Monster as an example. If you've got the Monster UC website and you know they use Salesforce, you go to a tool like Hunter or Seamless, run that through there, and you're going to find all of the points of contact. You're going to get all of their emails. If you're lucky, you might even get their phone numbers. So now you've got a customer who you know is perfect for your product in Salesforce, and then you've got the emails and the phone numbers and the addresses, and you can break it out by if they're local. Dude, that's like shooting fish in a barrel. You've got an application that, by the way, Salesforce, you pay $100+ a user. Right. And no small company's buying Salesforce. So we can always assume that they've got 50+ employees. They're spending a crap ton of money. And then we would go and door knock and cold call them. So we'd what I like to call.
I found it so interesting that even with the technology and the tools, you're still going back to door knocking.
Dude, yeah. Well, I think everyone would agree with this. If you can meet someone in person, that deal's going to close. At the end of the day, like you can have the coolest feature ever, but if they like you, that's where they're going to. But they want to work with you long term, and they would rather, if they like you, they would rather work with a broken product than work with somebody they don't know, like a robot over the phone. So
right, but were you door knocking, like cold door knocking, or were you setting up a point?
No. Okay. No. So, I mean, I'd try and call them first. That almost never works, right? So you hit the main number and you'd be like, hey, I'm trying to talk to Ken. And if you have the name, now you can get somewhere with that and then set up an in-person meeting. But dude, I would go door knock them. I'd be like, hey, I'm here for Ken. And then
I'm just picturing you in the parking lot wearing that shirt, waiting for him to come out.
Oh, yeah. You want to get it even worse. I'm 6'8", dude. You go in there, and they're like, what is this? Look at this goofy dude. You want to talk to Ken, the director of IT? Does he handle our IT decisions? Don't ever say that. That's the sales role thing. So.
All right. So, hey, do you have any for people that, I mean, I don't want to keep bashing on door knocking because there's a lot of people that still door knock, right? It's just never been my experience. But tell us, do you have any tips for the door knockers out there in the world? For the door knockers? Oh, man. So I don't have to touch. This isn't any groundbreaking information. The follow-up is key. So if you can go in there, the door knocking, you're going to get nowhere. So like there was one time in my whole life where I door knocked a company and closed them on the door knock and sold that deal. It was a 6-phone deal and it was a graphics design company. And when I walked in, the dude was on a support call with Ring Central. So I walked in, he goes,
he goes, hold on a second. He's at the front desk and he's like hitting the phone. He's like, oh man, I don't know what's wrong with it. It's not working. He hangs up and he's like, hey man, sorry about that. What's going on? And I was like, were you just having a phone issue? And he goes, yeah. He goes, Ring Central is broken. And I was just like, I can fix that. I can repurpose those Polycom phones and da-da-da. And like, anyways, he's like, can you show me? And this is where the door knocking, dude, this is where you take your door knocking to a whole nother level. We had a demo kit in the car. So I would run out to the car and be like, yeah, give me 1 second. I'll show you how this works. Run out to the car, come back with a briefcase that looks like a gun case. Not even kidding. I pull it out. I have a cradle point router with a small PoE switch on it. I plug it in on his desk, and I pull out these VBX Polycom phones, route it to the cradle point, and I'll be like, look, dude, I just got a phone system working in your office over LTE right now. And you see these Polycom phones? I can reuse those. Did you buy them or are you on lease? And like, started hitting those. We started making some calls. And he's like, I was like, how about this? I said, I'm not going to make you promises. If you pull up your bill right now, I can tell you if we can save you money and give you better phones. And he was paying like $35 a seat. And he's like, deal. He's like, you showed me right here that they were like, and it was just, that never happens, ever. So my takeaway for a door knocker is if you're door knocking, don't expect, like go in there, minimal expectations, but capture all the data. So like, what phone are they using? I can tell you if you go into any dental practice, they're using some sort of phone that was made before I was born. Shooting fish in a barrel on that one. But take down the notes, employees, internet, get all the information you can, typically 5 pieces. The follow-up is where you're going to win because they forget about you. They forget that you came in, that you were this annoying door knocker. But then you get the director of IT, how many phones, what phone, like really specific things. And so when you call them, you're like, hey, Ken, or, hey, Colin, I said, I saw your NEC phone system.
I was the 6'8" guy with the Tiger King shirt.
Dude, no. You never meet the IT guy, right? You never get past the front desk. So I was like, hey, man, I was in your office the other day, which point up. And then you say, I noticed the NEC phones, point up. I said, I saw you were using Time Warner cable. They recently got acquired by Spectrum. I was like, I'm sure you're having trouble with that, blah, blah, blah. That's never the case, by the way. Point up. And I was like, hey, the front desk lady was telling me that, at the third call, the call goes to busiest. Is that true? So you guys are losing business on the phone because you're on POTS lines? So tell me, Ken, tell me you're not using a PRI, and like you can basically, even before they say anything, give them their whole network stack and like point out the problems. And so that's the benefit.
And so now
follow-up game.
Right. So, but now with tools like Seamless and tools like Built With and things like that, you have all that information. You also know what they're spending and what they're using, CRM, and you have their email address. So you can save yourself a lot of time and make a much more, I interviewed Ian Koniak, one of the top sales reps in enterprise sales at Salesforce a few weeks back. And he's all about more time with less people, right?
Yeah.
So doing that research and going to those accounts that are much more meaningful, much more informed with a lot more information is much more impactful than just kind of playing the numbers game.
Yeah. So here's the benefit that I'll touch on the door knocking. You know what phones they have and you know what internet. You can't get that from Seamless and other tools like that. That's going to be the benefit. The problem is it's a huge waste of time. You're driving in between offices, right?
I just don't think – it all depends on what industry you're in. For me, I'm in this space, right? Do I care what phones they have anymore? No, not really.
No. I'm with you. So here's now let's get techie with it, Colin. This is how I would do it. I don't run a UCaaS company. I run Loop, which is a CRM integration company. And so this is selfishly going to feed me. But this is what I would do if I was you or any other UCaaS provider out there. And Colin, you're one of my best at selling CRM integration. I can jump into Loop right now and take a look at all your users and be like, dude, this guy gets it. I don't know. I don't want to just divulge all your secrets, so we'll move forward. But what using Loop or CRM or any sort of integration app, this is how I would do it. I would go into Built With. I would pay the money. I would download all the Salesforce, Zendesk, Zoho user groups. This is where you get freaking great with it because it's about time, right, and reach. And time and reach, you're not going to get with door knocking. So you download all the users, right? and it's not users, it just kicks out domains. So like, here's all the websites. And what I would do is search locally, right? The pond is big enough where you can hit the local. So let's use Georgia as an example. I'll download all of but I'm in Dallas. Maybe we'll use Dallas. Squirrel. No, I'm just kidding. So I'll download all the Salesforce companies in Dallas. I've got all that data now. I'll take all that data that I paid for. I'll run it through a tool called hunter.io or seamless.ai. That'll kick out their LinkedIn profiles and their emails. So I'm creating data sets, right? Mm-hmm. And then from that data set, I can get all of their email addresses. That's huge. So even if they're not the point of contact, so here's where I want to go with this. I'm gonna split off into different routes. So, and I know you're doing this, so you're gonna like this. Now that I have all their email addresses kicked out from Hunter, which is like $50 for unlimited clicks. Yep. I've got all their email addresses. I'm going to spin over immediately into Facebook ads. I'm going to take their emails. I'm going to upload it into the Facebook ads targeted audiences under Salesforce. I'm going to create an ad targeting that email list, right? So Facebook will automatically map all of those emails with those users. And then I'm going to write an ad that says, connect your Salesforce environment with your phone system. Click here to see how. And that click is important because what's going to happen is when they click it, you can retarget them and you got them forever. So you want to basically get them into the funnel. All right. So you want to run that ad. Here's the trick. People think your company is massive because only massive companies are spending money on Facebook right now. So you spend
and something to just to add to that too. I mean, we're running ads right now, and ads are so affordable. Ads are auction based. So whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, the cost of ads right now is the price that it was 6 or 7 years ago. So
the takeaway there is the auction-based thing. So it goes by how many people are trying to buy that audience.
Which a lot of companies have paused their ads because of the current situation.
Right.
So you can take advantage of that opportunity. The ads are cheaper and there's less competition right now.
You got it. So it's about time and reach again. So you put these emails in there. You spend $5 a day. I'm not asking you to blow your budget. $5. Stop drinking that Starbucks every day and spend these ads. So then it won't hit them all. It won't. Some of the websites won't match up. Some of the emails won't match up. All you're trying to do is get their first the click, right? Because you can retarget the click. Then they're screwed because you got them. So you got $5. Once they hit the click, send them to a landing page with not too much information on it. That's where people always get confused.
Now, I'm also a fan of this. So that's great information, right? So it's very easy to get the technology that they're using so that you basically have the right audience of people, right? Yeah. And then you're sending them a message that is
super
meaningful
specific
and impactful because you know that they're using Salesforce. You integrate with Salesforce. Whatever, this applies to any industry, right? You can get
any application. Find your niche.
So, but then I'm also a component of getting, you have the email as well. Now, I'm not saying cold email, blast everybody. That's not.
No. I'm not saying that either.
But but you can send them a personalized email, right? And you can also, pick up the phone and call them. They've seen your ad.
We're going to work through this because there's a couple of ways. First thing, I want you to set up the Facebook. Basically, run the ads. Run them to a page where you're going to capture the data. Don't make the page too big, like literally make it pretty small because they're going to have questions like, what does this mean? Can I even get this? You don't want them to find out their answers on the website. That sounds counterintuitive. You don't want to put all of the answers to their questions on the website. You want to capture the data so you can have this conversation where you and I are talking in person. So give them some tips, some little hints at it. Maybe a short demo, but the goal is to capture the information. So that's the website, right?
And there's something else that's really important too. Like it's not always just capturing information. It's the brand awareness as well. It's kind of like if you think about if you're thinking auxiliary. If you're thinking about buying a Tesla, then all of a sudden you see Teslas on the road everywhere, right? Right. So if they see your ad, they see your brand. Then when you call them, when you send them an email, it's much more impactful.
Well, here's the catch-22. They think you're spending $1,000 a month, but what's happening is you're spending $5 a day, and they think it's huge, but that's because you're targeting a very select, detailed audience of your perfect customer. I can burn out just on Facebook alone, because what ends up happening is when those people click, the people who hit your website, you can retarget them, right? So you're still hitting them $5 a day. They're like, God, they're hitting me on Facebook. They're hitting me on Instagram. They're hitting me on my computer. They're hitting me on my cell phone. These companies everywhere.
And wait. Now they're knocking on my door.
Yeah. And this dude is showing up and knocking on my door. This company is huge. Yeah. And it can be two employees. So here's where it gets, and I'm going to switch right after this because I got another topic, or not another branch of this sales strategy I want you guys to use. But after they clicked your page, so hopefully you capture the data, hopefully you follow up with them. After they capture or click your page, what Facebook allows you to do, this is where we get in trouble, right? It creates lookalike audiences. So they can look, and Colin, I know you're doing this, or you better start doing this.
Absolutely, we're doing it. Go
to your website, and here's another perfect example. Even without everything I just told you coming up to here, install the Facebook Pixel. Mm-hmm. Facebook Pixel will track every single person and their Facebook profiles who come to your website. Every single person. If they're going to your website, they're either already a customer or they're a potential perfect customer that you got through some sort of marketing. Don't waste your ad spend. You're losing money by not retargeting them because they've already got there. You somehow got them there. So basically, I can make the argument that every single person who hits your website is potentially or already is your perfect customer. So what Facebook can do is take the data from everyone who's visited your website and create a lookalike audience. So it takes all of their interests. Right. And it says, this person looks exactly the same as this person in terms of their likes and interests. That means Facebook will create a lead list for you of what they think your perfect customer is based on your perfect customer who's already a customer on your website. Right. And then you can run another $5 worth of ads to them. So right now we're spending $10, $15 worth of ads every day, and that's automated. You can go to sleep and you're going to make money overnight while this is running, right? So that's the time and reach part that I want to talk to you about. And then this is where it gets interesting. As you take that data, now that's running inherently in the background and it's feeding itself, right? New people are hitting your clicks, new people are hitting your website, your lookalike audience is getting more advanced, more targeted, your retargeting is hitting them every day, and you're doing nothing. That all runs in the background. Now it's time to focus on part two, where you take that data and you drop it into seamless.ai. All of those emails, because most of those emails are going to be for people you don't care about, marketing, PR, things like that. But you got to find, once you drop those emails into seamless.ai, it's going to kick out director of IT, CTO, and then you filter it down to just those emails. Mm-hmm. That's where you do what you and I just talked about, Colin. You start off at the high level with the personal email, right? Like, hey, I know you spend this, and this. I know you use Salesforce. I've been following you for a while. Follow their company. Message them on LinkedIn. Say, hey, look at,
if you're gonna message them on LinkedIn, engage with their content.
Yeah. So you take it to a whole nother level, right? Before it was kind of just automation, right? Now you're sending them a personal email. You can do an email blast. Don't recommend it. If you send it personal, it's much better. And then you start to build information that you've done your research around them. What they don't know is it was already done by software, kicked out for you. So you've got a list of all the data, and then you follow up with them. And then that's where I'll cold call those deals all day, right? You've got there's tech spend, you've got who the CTO is, you've got everything you need.
They may have clicked on your ad, so they're already familiar with you.
You're going to walk out of that office, even if they say no, and you're like, I'm still going to get raped by my ads. I'm going to get you. It's like, and so like that's where people are missing out on, right? It's all about adding people to the funnel, right? A beef I have with a lot of service providers is there's this illusion, and I don't know where it came from, and people are this is going to be your comfort. This is going to create a dispute in your audience, depending on who's watching this. A lot of service providers think the best way to get new business is focusing on the channel. And what the channel means is basically affiliates, if you're an internet person. Partners, people who bring you deals, right? Like what I was doing to get in that President's Club. I was partnering with people. The problem is you could become too dependent on that. and you can't predict what's going to happen,
Exactly.
right? Like
you have no control over it either.
I can't tell you that I'm going to get this many clicks, this many impressions, I'm going to get this many leads. Here's how much data I'm going to get per month. Like there's you don't know. Like one day a guy could bring you a 10,000 seat deal. Another guy could bring you the graphic studio that was down the road with 6 seats.
Or nothing for months.
And you've got to pay them on it monthly versus the Facebook's one time. So, I mean, I think there's this illusion that like people focus on this networking and all these partners, but if you can just do some paid advertising to get them in the door, I mean, here's another question that we can talk about, Colin. Right now, if you type in VoIP phone provider in Google Ads pay-per-click, it is, I think, $70 to $100 plus a click.
Not anymore, but it was.
Not anymore?
It was.
Guys, that means this guy's up to something. He's snaking something. So
2025.
That's the hot. So if you can get one customer out of that, now let me set some numbers for you. People think Google pay-per-click and being at the top of the search is automatic money. It's not. 1% to 2% come through. So that means 100 clicks, you're getting 2 people. But you pay per click. So if it's $25 times 100, that's basically your cost.
But also too, a lot of the younger generation buyers and decision makers and IT professionals, they're skipping the ads and they're going to the organic results as well, which is a whole other topic, which we won't get into today.
No.
But
where I agree with you on that. There's some people that are hitting it, some people not.
Yeah.
But where you were just going with it is that price per click. This is where you talk dirty to me. You got to start getting creative with the cost per click. So what if we do Salesforce click to call? If you type that in right now, I think last I checked it was $2. No one. Who is buying Salesforce click to call? Nobody. That's because you are. get on it. And so all of these applications, you can get creative. You can do Salesforce click to call. Zoho.
Now here's the thing people should understand, right? So obviously the clicks that are less expensive are the less competitive. They're more the niche clicks. But you're going to have a very, very specific prospect that's looking for a very specific need that you can solve that not everybody in this crowded space of whatever industry you're in is bidding on.
Yeah. Yep, you got it. And I mean, we don't have to spend money. I know we've talked a lot about paid advertising. Here's another tip for you. Go to salesforce.com, go in the forums and type in CTI or click to call. There's people right now as we're on this having live forum and Slack chats about how do I set up click to call or who provides click to call, any recommendations on screen pops on all of the applications that we're talking about right now. And so you can go and just chat with them at sales, or when I was at Vonage, we would legit chat with them and I would pick up a customer in 30 minutes. You're like, yeah, we can do that. What PBX do you have? Oh, don't worry about it. We'll port your numbers.
So basically the learning lesson out of that is, if you're solving a real problem that's a problem for a lot of people, there's people out there talking about it. You just need to look for them.
So one guy will talk about it, but 1,000 people will Google it and read what he talked about, right? Not everyone's posting to the forums, but you can still post your data in there and pick it up. So this is where I want to transition to free topics that you can do right now. And I'm going to just knock this out real quick for you. SEO is the biggest buzzword in any freaking industry, but it's way easier than people think. So right now, if you're watching this and you haven't already signed up for the Google Webmasters tool, you're messing up. You have to do that. So type in webmaster.google.com or just webmaster into Google. And if you haven't signed up for it, sign up for it. It'll tell you everything you need to know about your website. It'll tell you which pages are your most popular, which pages rank, what they rank for, why they rank for, who's clicking, where it's coming from. And if you haven't signed up, basically you're telling me that you haven't submitted your website to be ranked on Google, indexed. You're basically just hoping that somebody links to your website and magically you'll show up. You're just sitting behind. And
local SEO to at least rank in your local space is it's very easy to do.
Dude, easy.
If you're in a competitive space like us where we're trying to rank nationally, which we do for a lot of key terms, it's a lot of work. But there's some really simple tactical stuff that you can do to at least rank in your market.
I'm talking low hanging fruit. That's what I want. I want you to watch this and then pick up a deal like tomorrow. And so here's what you do. If you haven't already signed up, go sign up, click and submit a sitemap. Way Google finds your website is they use robots. And if you are not being linked to by another website, the robots will never find you. Mm-hmm. It's basically like a map. No one knows that island exists because no one's been there. Yeah. And so what you can do,
I would add one thing before you submit that. At least make sure your site is
good.
Make sure your site
for sure.
Yeah. Let's make sure your site is mobile friendly, it's fast, it's secure, and then you want to have your pages have, at least have the keywords in the pages at least a few times.
Well,
in the headers.
I'm not even talking. I'm just saying at a high level, even before we get to like scaring you away, just go submit it, even if it's shit, because it's going to do more good than it's going to do bad at this point, because right now you don't even exist. So my advice would be to submit it. My second piece of advice would be to create what Colin said. You sniped the topic, is create local landing pages. So I'm going to tell you right now, no one is trying to rank for Albuquerque, New Mexico phone provider. I guarantee you no one is. I guarantee you Susie is typing in Albuquerque, New Mexico phone provider. And so I don't know why I thought Albuquerque, but
you can just find some small niche markets that maybe people aren't getting after.
Do all of your local, and all you have to do is create, and by the way, you have to create one page. So this is where the work comes in. You have to create a page. And all I want you to do is the first sentence on the page, make it a T1 tag, which just means title, and put Albuquerque, New Mexico phone system provider. That's it. Or
whatever you do. Yeah.
Whatever. Phone system in Albuquerque. You can create 2 if you wanted to. And then so Google always asks for 900 words. I have a friend who will pull out his cell phone and just voice to text those 900 words, and he'll actually, and then, because it doesn't matter, right? They don't necessarily read the content. They want to find your site, put your phone number at the top, put a caption page on the side to let them submit an email form. The data capture is the most important part. So the reason my friend does the phone recording thing is because if your pages look the same, if you just click duplicate, and then you submit that sitemap, Google's going to be like, no.
So just to clear it up, this is like the quick and dirty way to just low cost to just start to get some results.
So dirty, but so clean. So what happens is, we talked about that funnel that we did with Facebook a minute ago. Yeah. You get those clicks. Then they get dropped into the retargeting. They get dropped into the lookalike. You're hitting their friends and their family. You're spending $5. I'm telling you right now.
And once your $5 is performing well, then double it up.
Double down. You can increase the Google pay-per-click. The best way to start, though, is, in my opinion, is get that Facebook pixel installed. But you start to do these SEO terms, and then you're going to start getting excited, like, holy shit. Yeah. What city's next to Albuquerque? Let me type that one in real quick. Yeah. And then you just start banging these out, and your website gets bigger. More people link to you. You get more traffic. It's like a compounding interest scenario.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, this has been awesome, man. Just before we let you go, tell people where they can find you, where they can connect with you online. If they have any questions.
So LoopDB, we own lookupdatabase.com. That'll reroute you to LoopDB. Run sales for Netrio. We provide IT telecom support. So 24/7 NOC with 70 employees in it. So NetSapiens, BroadSoft, we can basically, it's like a giant MSP NOC. They can outsource any of your support tickets, answer the phone as you. It's an awesome company. So that's Netrio, Netrio.com, lookupdatabase.com. And a secret project that I've been working on is a company called OpenPhone.io. This is actually the first time that it's going to be put out there. But we're basically trying to reinvent the soft phone. We're trying to create a Bria replacement combined with basically Loop features. So check out openphone.io. We're working on a beta project right now that will allow users to hopefully get a free WebRTC based soft phone.
Awesome. Hey, if you're listening to the show, please subscribe, share with your friends, and then we're also open to hearing your feedback. The show is all about you. Thanks, Spencer.
Wait, let me add one more piece. Comment below if Carol Baskin did it. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you for tuning in for another episode of Monster Chats, presented by Monster VoIP, where we share the tools, methods, and best practices that business leaders use to build new connections, strengthen relationships, and impact sales in organizations of all shapes and sizes. If you have any questions from today's show and want to reach us directly, please text your question to 424-378-6966.